Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1959A and today's date is September 2nd, 2019, and the title of the episode is Central Bank Mainstream Media Around the World Are Struggling. The Economic Movement Cannot Be Stopped. Now, before we get started, I wanted to talk about protecting yourself. Nothing invokes full-scale panic like Wall Street panicking, but quietly, secretly, U.S. corporate insiders, they're preparing. What are they doing? Well, they call it financial prepping, being cautious, protecting their assets, and all sorts of other fancy explanations, but make no mistake, this is controlled panic. CNN reported $600 million of stocks has been sold each day in August. This only happened previously before the 2008 crash. Insider selling has topped $10 billion for 5 months straight. Meanwhile, gold is rocketing, and demand is at a 3-year high according to the World Gold Council. The rise in the price of gold and silver shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon, and investors seeking shelter for the stocks they cashed in are piling into precious metals, which have risen by 32% since August last year. Precious metals, gold, silver, as an IRA or 401k rollover will keep you safe and help you ride out the latest storm, as they always have done. But you need to act fast. Call Noble Gold right now at 877-646-5347 and ask them to help you move your money to safety. Or you can hit the link below and someone will contact you and you'll get the free gold and silver investment guide that has been downloaded over 50,000 times. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we know that the mainstream media, the central bank, the deep state, all those people that are part of the elite establishment, they're going to do whatever they possibly can to stop the patriots from moving forward. Let's take, for example, the UK. We know that Boris Johnson has been elected to deliver Brexit on October 31st, and he's saying that it's going to be a no deal. Because the only deal the EU would work on is the one that Theresa May has, which is really not a Brexit deal. It's really the same thing that we've had before, with the illusion that there is a Brexit, but the EU is still in control. And the people turn this down over and over and over. Now, many MPs, those who oppose the UK from leaving the EU without a deal on October 31st, they've settled on a plan. Their plan is to stop Boris Johnson from running down the clock. They're reportedly planning to pass legislation that would force Johnson to seek a 3-month delay of his Brexit day. Now, right now they're voting on it. They're trying to get it passed. And they want to stop or delay the no-deal Brexit any way they possibly can. So let's get this straight. Theresa May tried to push a deal, and the people said no. This is not a good deal. Actually, it's the same written deal that they had with the EU before in a different form to make it seem like there was going to be a Brexit, which there really wasn't. Then Theresa May decided to resign because she tried to get this passed multiple times. It didn't work. The people rejected it. Then people elected Boris Johnson to push the Brexit deal via a no-deal Brexit. Individuals within government, they're going against what the people want, and they're doing whatever they possibly can to stop Boris Johnson. Trump and Boris Johnson have already made an interim deal once the Brexit is done, and they will protect the UK from this catastrophic disaster that the EU continually pushes out there. So basically, those in government are going against the people, the will of the people, and they're trying to delay this no-deal Brexit. So as you can see, once again, there are certain groups and individuals that are pushing their own agenda. And that's the same thing here in the United States. We have a mainstream media, deep state central bank, that pushes their own agenda. It's not a people's agenda. It's their agenda where they convince the people that, yes, this is what we should be doing. It's not the people saying, yes, this is what I want. Just like the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was pushed on the people. The people didn't say, hey, you know what? we really need a Federal Reserve. We really need a private institution where we can't see the books, where we want them to create currency and then loan it to us with interest so we can never get ahead. And we want the central bank to maintain control over all the countries. And we want them to be above the law. And we want them not to pay any of the taxes that the people are paying. This is what we want. No, the people have never said this. This was pushed on the people by non-elected leaders. And then, of course, certain elected leaders went with it because they were bribed. They were suckered into it. They saw dollar signs and they decided, you know something? Why not? And then they realized later on this was a huge mistake. Now, since Trump and the Patriots, since they've been in control right now, the same central bank, the same deep state, the same mainstream media, they're in trouble. They no longer have full control of everything. They thought they did, but they lost it. Trump and the Patriots took over. And this is why they are forcing this narrative of a recession. They know they can't cause one using the central bank where they would raise the rates and then have the entire system come crashing down. Because that was their plan. They thought they had control. They were going to use the central bank and they were going to bring down the system. Since they don't have that control anymore, they're trying to force it by using the network of the mainstream media. And this is the news networks on TV. This is the paper networks. I mean, they're all one and the same. And they're continually putting out articles and they're continually repeating this, trying to brainwash the people into thinking that a recession is coming. This is out of the New York Times. A recession is coming eventually. Here's where you'll see it first, out of CNBC. Here's a list of recession signals that are flashing red. This next one is out of USA Today. Growing pessimism, 34% of economists in survey expect a U.S. recession in 2021. As you can see, and there's many, many, many more articles, letting everyone know that something bad is about to happen, trying to convince people this is where we're headed. But what's very interesting, these are the same things that we saw when Obama was president. Really, there was no difference. We saw the same indicators. We saw the same things flashing red. But the difference was the central bank, the Obama administration back then, had control and they were able to keep the illusion alive by keeping interest rates very low. When Trump came into office, this is when they started to raise rates. And they started to increase them in 2017 and further in 2018. And they were supposed to raise them in 2019 until Trump and the Patriots took control. Now, we need to remember it's the raising of the rates that causes the domino effect. It's not the lowering of the rates. That comes after. But the mainstream media is trying to convince us that if Trump lowers the rates, we're going to enter into a recession. Actually, it is the complete opposite of what they're saying. And they know that they need to continually push this narrative because once the rates are lowered enough and stimulus starts, this entire recession narrative disappeared, fades into the ether. And there's nothing they can do about it. This is why they're pushing so hard right now. This is why you see so many articles. And this is why they keep repeating it. Because they know there's a point in time that they won't be able to do this anymore. And this is coming in the next couple of months. Now, Trump, he tweeted out the following to let everyone know that, hey, everything's fine in the economy. There is no recession. And there is nothing to worry about. He tweeted out the following: the last 3 years of Trump policy have finally brought real hope and real change. Unemployment this year hit a 50-year low. With President Trump, we've seen the lowest ever African-American Hispanic unemployment. The booming Trump economy has pushed up workers' wages. Average hourly wages growth has far outpaced what we saw with President Obama across all industries, from mining and construction to leisure and hospitality. With President Trump, we see income growth in states like Iowa, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, Florida. Swing states that went to Trump in 2016 because he promised not to forget about them, like the establishment had done for decades, and their trust in President Trump paid off as they saw their incomes rise. And it's the lowest paid workers who have gained the most with Trump economics. With President Trump, tariffs are bringing companies back to the U.S., like he said they would. And the other day we have confirmation that 13% of those companies, they're going to be leaving China. Now, they might be going to other countries, but many of them are going to come back to the United States. And we're going to see this moving forward. Now, we need to remember, Trump and the patriots, they are bringing up the gold price very, very slowly. Yes, we see it bob up and down. They don't want the gold to rise too quickly. This will cause everyone to say, hey, what is going on here? Remember, they have a lot of work ahead of them. They're preparing for a transition. This is why Trump was out there saying, yes, eventually we might go through a recession. It will be a bump in the road. He's planning the narrative and he's projecting out there because he knows, and the patriots know, once they make this transition away from the central bank, yes, we will go through a recession. It will be tough. But on the other side, the economy will be booming. We saw this back in 1971. Back then, we were coming off the gold standard, and we moved into a fiat system when President Nixon took us off the gold standard. And we saw inflation, and during this period of time, people thought this was fantastic. Wow, look at this. My wages are going up. Wow, look at this. My house just went up. Wow, look at this. It's fantastic. But really, it was an illusion. What they were doing is they were creating a lot of currency, which meant your dollar was devaluing when you saw inflation. In the beginning, this illusion tricks people into thinking that everything is fantastic, and look at this. Now everything that I purchased, it's worth a lot more. But what happens over time is that the system slowly breaks down. Instead of one person working, now you need two people working. Instead of paying everything in cash, you need to have a gas card. Then you needed to have a credit card. And then you needed to take a loan out on an automobile instead of paying cash. In the beginning, it was 3 years. Then it was 4 years. Then it was 5 years. Now it's 7, 8, 9 years. Then they turned to leasing, where you actually just rented the car because the monthly payment was much lower. Because remember, inflation is driving the prices of these cars up, up, and up. Actually, the value of the dollar is decreasing each time, which means a lot more dollars are needed to pay for that same exact car. So they moved into leasing. The whole thing is a trick. The whole system breaks down as you move towards the end of a central bank system. And here we are today. Huge amount of debt. College graduates, they're having a difficult time finding high-paying jobs. They have a huge amount of college debt. People are in debt around the world. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 credit cards, hardly anything in savings. And this is all because of the central bank system. In the beginning, it feels fantastic. Then they tell you stories of why you need two people working, why you need a credit card, why you need this and that and the other thing. Eventually, people start to realize that this system does not work for them. And as we see gold continually move up, it's an indicator to let us know that the central bank system is over. And that's what we're going to see. When we see gold approach $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, and I do believe when it hits around $3,000 to $4,000, that is the solid indicator letting us know the fiat system has completely broken down. And I think by maybe just a little bit before that time, you won't even be able to find gold. People will be rushing to own gold at that point. People are sitting back right now because they've seen this before. They've been tricked before. And this was a trick done by the central banks. to make sure that people would not go and purchase precious metals. But what you should be doing, and I've been doing it, and this is my opinion, is continually purchasing gold or silver. And you don't have to buy a whole ounce of gold. You can buy 1/10 of an ounce, a quarter. Same thing with silver. Actually, silver is very cheap. You can buy 1 ounce, 1/2 ounce, a quarter of an ounce. And remember, if we look at the 1913 calculations, gold should be around $6,000 right now, and silver should be around 700. Why do you think China and Russia have accumulated so much gold? You think they just did it just to do it? No. Countries, central banks, investors, they only do things because they know what's going to happen. Russia and China, they know that this system can't last forever, and they needed an insurance policy to protect themselves. You should have that insurance policy to protect yourself, because eventually what's going to happen is we're going to come out of this system, and this is the central banker system that we'll be coming out of. We'll be moving into a sound money system. And just imagine if you owned silver, gold, copper, junk silver, and we moved into a sound money system. Think about those that have it and those that don't. Who's going to be better off? Those that have it. So prepare. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.